Hello friends, I am Yashwant Kanetkar and today we propose to begin with a very important concept in Java programming, namely exception handling. Now realize when exception handling becomes necessary is the first question that we need to answer. Well, for that we need to figure out where things may go wrong when we are trying to create a Java program. Well, there are several possibilities. First among them is during compilation. Means if the grammar of your program is wrong, if it is not in line with the rules that have been laid down by James Gosling for the Java language, in that case the compiler would report the error. And what action is expected on your part? Well, you are supposed to rectify those errors. So grammar wise, if something is wrong, compiler will point it out to you. And your duty is to rectify those errors and then recompile the program. So those are fairly simple errors to deal with. Second possibility is that we make use of libraries within our Java program. So if for any reason we are unable to link those libraries with our program, in that case an error would be flashed. And that again will be easy to sort out. All that you are required to do is you are required to use the proper import statements at the top of your program. So these are also fairly straightforward to deal with. Third variety is what is cumbersome. During execution of the program, means once things have gone out of your hand, that's when the error occurs. When those errors occur, in that case, it would be reported by Java runtime, and we have to have the foresight and put that foresight into our program, thinking that when this execution happens for this program, such and such error is likely to occur and I need to account for it right away. So dynamically the error would occur and dynamically I would be required to deal with it. That's what I mean when I say tackle it on the fly. Now there are several ways in which these exceptions may occur. Just to give you a couple of examples. Memory overflow is likely to occur in the form of stack overflow or heap overflow. We know that objects are always created on the heap, normal variables always on the stack. So if stack becomes full, a stack overflow would occur. Similarly, if we create so many objects that the heap gets overflown, then also an exception may occur or a runtime error may occur. Or we attempt to exceed the bounds of an array. We have created, let's say, 5 integer array and we try to go beyond those 5 integers. That will happen only when you execute the program or at runtime. So that's also a runtime exception related to memory. Then arithmetic related exceptions may also occur. For example, you may say C equal to A divided by B, and during execution B becomes 0. Denominator, if it is 0, division by 0 we know is not defined. Or we carry out an operation C equal to A into B, and during the course of that multiplication we exceed the range of the integers. In that case, a overflow would occur. Similarly, underflow is also likely to occur because all integers are within a range. Byte, for example, has a value minus 128 to plus 127. So if byte arithmetic is involved and you try to go beyond 127, an overflow would occur, and if you try to go below minus 128, then an underflow would occur. So that's something that is likely to happen only during execution. That's why it gets classified under runtime error or exception. Or to give you a couple of more examples, you try to use a reference which has not been assigned any address. So you say circle C1 and then say C1.draw. You should have said C1 equal to new circle to assign a reference to a variable C1. Without doing that, if you use it to make a call to a method, then it will also be reported as an error. Or you try to open a file and the file is simply not there on the disk. That's also going to result into a runtime exception. Yet another example could be that you are trying to connect to a network server or a print server or a database server, and somehow the connection doesn't go through. There is some network error. At the time of compilation of the program, this cannot happen, because at the time of compilation it is checking the grammar, it is not checking whether connection is going to materialize or not. That can be checked only when you execute the program. So if connection error is there, obviously it's going to be a runtime error. Point I am trying to make is that there are several things that may go wrong at runtime. And when these things go wrong, there are ways and means to deal with it. One category of exceptions is those which can be anticipated. If you can anticipate, you can initiate a recovery, but then there are some which cannot be anticipated, in which case recovery would simply be impossible. File not found or insufficient memory or division by zero, all of these are exceptions that you can anticipate that, well, during execution this may go wrong, let me make a provision for it right away. However, some exceptions cannot be anticipated. It might be due to internal condition or external condition. For example, passing null instead of a file name is something that you cannot really anticipate, that this is what the user will end up doing. Or if there is a hard disk failure while executing the program, that also you cannot anticipate. Ultimately, it's a device, it may go wrong, it may fail during execution. So those errors which cannot be anticipated, those qualify as unchecked exceptions, whereas those which can be anticipated, they qualify as checked exceptions. So when I say checked exception, the meaning of that word check is compiler checks whether these exceptions have been handled or not. Whereas first category here is known as runtime exceptions, second is known as errors. And together they are known as unchecked exceptions. Compiler will not check whether you have dealt with these or not, whereas checked exceptions, it will always check whether you have done something about these exceptional conditions or not. In case of unchecked exceptions, it is up to us whether we want to deal with them or we don't want to deal with them in our program. We are more worried about the checked exceptions right now. Now, when an exceptional condition occurs, in Java programming, it will happen only when a method is being executed. Because at any given point in time during the course of execution of the program, some or the other method is being executed. So exceptions, if they occur, they will occur only when method execution is in progress. How do you deal with them? Well, in Java, everything you deal in an object-oriented fashion. So naturally, exceptions are also handled in an object-oriented fashion. What do we mean by this object-oriented exception handling? Well, in this, any information about the exceptional condition that has occurred, that information will be packed into an object. This is an important thing because more information can be packed into an object as compared to merely returning an error number. You can put several items of information within the exception object. These exceptional conditional objects that you create, the fact that they are objects means they are going to be instantiated out of some or the other class. That class might be a ready-made Java API exception class, or it might be a user-defined exception class. For example, the exceptional conditions that I mentioned, division by zero, overflow, underflow, running out of memory, all these are something which are known beforehand. So for them, there are standard exception classes available in the Java library. However, imagine a situation where a user tries to withdraw some amount from his bank account and he falls short of balance. There isn't enough balance against his account. He is trying to overdraw his account. That is to be rejected. So that's an exceptional condition that will occur only when you execute the program. Lot of information can be packed into the exception object in such a case. what is the account number, date of transaction, time of transaction, how much is the balance, how much did you attempt to withdraw. All this information can be packed into an object. But that object will have to be from a user-defined exception class. There cannot be a domain-specific exception class present in Java API. That's what I mean when I say that you will be possibly required to create an object out of a user-defined exception class. When you create this user-defined exception class, you are at liberty to inherit that class from any of the standard Java API exception classes. Advantage of this object-oriented exception handling is that more information can be packed into an exception object rather than merely the error number. I just now gave you a banking example as to what all information can you pack into the exception object. And secondly, and very, very importantly, you may have deeply nested calls, and in the innermost call the exception occurs. Where to tackle it is your decision. You may tackle it in the first function, second function, third function, wherever you want. This exception object that is created in the last function, propagation of that to the place where it is being tackled is not your and my responsibility. That is the beauty of it. You just have to throw the exception object. Where to catch it, where to deal with it is something that you can decide. Propagating it from the place where it originated to the place where it is tackled, that's not your and my responsibility. That is something that the Java runtime will do for you. That's a great advantage. So much about object-oriented exception handling. Actual program, of course, we are required to write, which we propose to do next time around. Till that time, goodbye, good luck, and thank you.